Hi, I'm musician first class Brittany Foster with the U.S. Navy Band, and I'm here to tell you why I love playing the flute so much. First, what is a flute? Well, a flute is a member of the woodwind family, and what makes it so special and unique within that family is that it is the only instrument to not rely on a reed to create its sound. Instead, to create a sound on the flute, we blow air across this teeny tiny tone hole right here. The flute has three parts. We have a head, a body, and a foot, which makes it pretty easy to remember what goes where. The flute also has a pretty wide range. I'll demonstrate our most practical range on the instrument, which begins with the B natural below the staff and goes over 4 octaves above that to a D natural. Woo, really, really high. You know, one of my favorite parts about playing the flute and music in general is that in so many instances, music tries to tell a story. And we as musicians are fortunate enough that we sometimes get to portray some of these characters in the story. Oftentimes, the flute is a bird. So I thought I would play one of my favorite bird-like excerpts for you today, which is from Peter and the Wolf by Sergei Prokofiev. So pretty bird-like. The flute is also capable of making some pretty cool sound effects. Let's see if you can guess what sound effect I'm creating here. As you might have guessed, it was a train whistle, so pretty neat. As you can see, the flute can do so much more than you might expect of the instrument. Now, I definitely need to tell you about another very important member of the flute family, which is the piccolo. Fun fact, in Italian, piccolo means small, which makes sense as the piccolo is so much smaller than the flute. And I get to play this instrument a lot in my job with the Navy Band. In fact, at the end of nearly every concert, my section mates and I get to stand up in front of the band and play one of the most famous piccolo solos ever written, which happens to be from our nation's march, the Stars and Stripes Forever. So I thought, what better way to conclude this video than to play the solo for you. Enjoy. Thank you for watching, and I hope you'll enjoy playing the flute and piccolo just as much as I do. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Hi, I'm Chief Musician Cindy Wolverton with the U.S. Navy Band, and I'm here to tell you why I love my instrument, the clarinet. The clarinet is a member of the woodwind family. It is basically a tube of wood with many keys that open and close holes, and that's how you get all the different notes. Now here on the back of the clarinet is a very important piece of the instrument, the reed. The reed is a small thin piece of wood that vibrates as you blow into it, and that's what produces the sound. What I love about the clarinet is the wide range it has. It can play up high, and then also down low. The clarinet has a beautiful sound with a nice singing quality. Listen to how smooth and expressive it is throughout all the registers from low to high. have another clarinet to show you today. This is the bass clarinet. Just like the clarinet, it's made of wood. It has many keys that open and close the holes, and it also has a reed. But as you can see, it's much, much bigger. Now what that means is the sound is going to be much lower. It's actually an octave lower than the clarinet. I love the bass clarinet's dark, rich sound. Especially in the lower register, it can sound somber and even mysterious, like this. But it can also be playful and energetic. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoy playing the clarinet as much as I do.
Hi everybody, I'm Chief Musician Jonathan Yannick, and today we're talking about my instrument, the saxophone. Certainly one of the best instruments in the world, of course. And I've played it for over 25 years, and I still love it so much because I'm learning something new every day about playing it or being a musician. Saxophone's like one of the middle range instruments in the band. It kind of fills in the sound in the middle, and it's also a woodwind instrument in the woodwind family, and it means I make the sound on the instrument by playing the reed here, so that the vibrations from the reed on the mouthpiece go through the horn and make the music that you hear. Saxophone has a big range and is very versatile. Here, I'll give you a little bit of the taste of the range starting from the middle to the bottom. So that's the lowest note on the alto saxophone, and then going up. To the very highest notes there on the saxophone in the altissimo range. The saxophone can play very haunting, beautiful, soft melodies. As well as very technical, athletic things as well, such as this violin piece I'm going to play. In addition to the alto saxophone, there's also the tenor saxophone, which is slightly lower and another instrument that you might start in band class. Saxophone family has a bunch of different instruments, but the main ones are soprano, alto, tenor, and baritone. So here's the tenor. That's the lowest note on that one. And there's the highest normal range note on the tenor as well. And now, in addition to these classical saxophone, concert saxophone sounds, saxophone is also well known as a jazz and pop instrument, so I wouldn't want to leave that out of this demonstration as well. So here's a little jazz tune called Billy's Bounce. So thanks everybody for tuning in. That's a little bit about the saxophone. I'll leave you with a pop tune that you may be familiar with from the internet called Careless Whisper. And best of luck in your instrumental journeys throughout the whole band.
Hello, I'm Chief Musician Jason Ayub of the United States Navy Band, and I'm here to tell you why I love the French horn. Now, when I was a kid, I loved going to symphony orchestra concerts so that I could look at all the different instruments. But the one that really caught my eye was the shiny, big-belled, crazy-tubed French horn. But the other thing that caught my ear about the French horn was its wonderful, glorious sound, like when I listened to Princess Leia's theme, or the beginning of Star Wars, or the Avengers. Now, I bet you didn't know this, but the first horns weren't even made out of metal at all. In fact, they were made out of animal horns or seashells, like this giant conch shell that I have here from Hawaii. Take a listen to this. That's a beautiful sound, right? Instruments like that shell and early French horns would have been used as a signaling device. Now, another reason I love the horn is it has such an expansive range. In fact, it has a 4.5 octave range. Take a listen to this. Now, one thing I enjoyed when I was a beginning French horn student was to play elephant calls. It kind of sounds fun. Sounds like a real elephant. Also, one of the very unique things that the French horn has is a sound called stopped horn. That's where I take my hand in the bell and I close it off completely, and I get a very distinct sound. As I said earlier, I truly love the expressive sound the horn can make. Here is the mysteriously beautiful Hedwig's theme from Harry Potter. Now I'm going to play for you one of my favorite themes from one of the band pieces we play here at the Navy Band. It's called American Overture. I'm always reminded of the Wild West and cowboys when I play that. Now this last one is one of the ones I mentioned earlier that really inspired me to play the French horn. I think you'll recognize it. Well, thanks everyone for watching, and I hope you enjoy playing the French horn as much as I do.
My name is Musician First Class Thomas Eby from the United States Navy Band in Washington, D.C. And I'm here to tell you why I love playing the most fun instrument in the band, the trumpet. Now, the coolest thing about the trumpet is that it's one of the strongest instruments in the orchestra, so it always gets the coolest melodies. And the trumpet can do much more than that. It can play low notes, and it can play high notes. And even though it's super strong, it can also play beautiful melodies. Now I know what you're thinking. How is it that the trumpet can play all of those notes when it only has 3 buttons? Good question. Well, the answer is that we can play a lot of different notes without the buttons, the same way that you might whistle using your lips and your air. We can do the same thing on the trumpet. So I can control those lips and air and play lots of different notes. And then use the buttons to fill in the notes in between, which we call valves. Now, since the trumpet is super cool, it gets to play in all kinds of different kinds of bands, from rock bands to salsa bands to church bands or symphony orchestras. my favorite kind of music, jazz. The fun thing with jazz is that sometimes we can make some different kinds of sounds than you would make in a symphony orchestra, like the sounds we make with this fun plunger mute. Now, when you get your first trumpet, it might be a silver trumpet, like this, or you might get a gold brass trumpet, like this one. Or if you start like I did, you might start on a cornet, which is this one. It's slightly smaller than a trumpet, but it plays pretty much the same. Well, thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoy playing the trumpet as much as I do.
Hello, I'm Chief Musician Bryce Edwards with the United States Navy Concert Band, and I'd like to take a few minutes to tell you why I love playing my euphonium. I started playing the euphonium in the 7th grade. The band director came and asked me if I would play, and I wasn't quite sure, so she started naming off a few instruments that might be interesting. When she came to the euphonium, that's something I had never heard of before. So I asked if I could take one home and play it. And then I kept playing it a long time, and still playing it. I love playing the euphonium. Sometimes that name gets confused with baritone. They sound the same, they look kind of the same, but they're not the same instruments. We use pistons or rotors to change notes. I have pistons on mine. This is a euphonium. Sometimes there are 3 to 5 of each. I have 4, 3 on the top, 1 on the side. This is a special euphonium. It's called a compensating euphonium. It's called compensating because on the back, I have these extra tubes, and they let me play really low and in tune. Speaking of low, I can play a B natural 2 octaves below the bass clef staff. I can play as high as I possibly can. I get to play beautiful melodies. And I get to play fast things too. I love playing my euphonium, and I hope you do too. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Chief Musician Colin Wise from the United States Navy Band, and I'm here to tell you why I love the trombone. Now, the main reason I'd say I love the trombone is because of its beautiful, mellow sound that's a lot like the human voice. So even though I'm not the world's greatest singer, I can contribute to the music by playing my trombone in a lot of different ways. You can play a trombone in a symphony orchestra, or a concert band, or a jazz band, or even playing in a horn line for a rock band. So you can play in a lot of different ways and have a lot of fun playing your instrument. Now let's talk about how the trombone goes together. You've got a few different pieces. The first is the mouthpiece. Now you buzz your lips, sort of by saying the letter M, and then blowing air between them, Then you do that same thing into the mouthpiece. Then do that into the instrument. And it makes a beautiful sound. Now, there are other parts of the instrument as well. There's a slide that goes through here and the bell where the sound comes out. The slide is what's unique about the trombone in that it lets you change notes, much like other instruments have valves or buttons on them. But the slide has this total connection so you can play something really fun called a glissando. So here's a little demonstration of that. Now I wanted to play a couple quick things for you to show some of the things that the trombone can do. So the first is a jazz tune called Sandu. Now the next thing I wanted to play for you is maybe one of the most famous things that's ever been written to feature the trombone. It's called The Ride of the Valkyries, and I bet you might have even heard this before in a commercial or a cartoon or a movie. It's supposed to sound like war horns going off as the horses are riding off into battle. So here's Wagner's Ride of the Valkyries. So I hope you've enjoyed this today, and I hope you'll learn to enjoy playing trombone just as much as I do. Take care.
Hello, I'm Chief Musician James Six, and I'm here today to tell you about why I love to play the tuba. Now, one of the things I love about playing the tuba is that when people come to hear our band concerts, one of the first things they notice is the big shiny tuba sitting on stage. As you can see, the tuba has a bell. It also has valves that allow me to change notes. And also, it has these things called slides over here, which allow me to play in tune with my friends. Now, the other thing I really love about the tuba is that it can make a big, full sound, like this. Now, bands love to play a lot of marches, so if you come to a band concert, you might hear a tuba play a line like this. However, tubas can also play very beautiful melodies too. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope that you enjoy playing the tuba just as much as I do.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Musician First Class Chris DiChiara. I'm with the United States Navy Band in Washington, D.C. And today I want to talk to you about why I love playing drums and percussion. Now, there's two main reasons why. The first is that there's so many different instruments to play, and it never gets boring, it's always fun. So the second reason is that every note that you play is like a solo. Nobody else plays the notes that you're playing. If you're just starting to play, you might be given a snare drum first, or a glockenspiel or bells. And if you get really interested, this is also what you can be doing. And those are a couple reasons why I love playing drums and percussion. I hope it inspires you to pick up a pair of drumsticks really soon. Thanks for watching.